how are Sri Lankan companies getting ready for this act?
PDPA readiness is like having a fire extinguisher on the wall. How does one control that personal data from being manipulated at a rapid speed? Data manipulation is going to be a big issue.
Right.
Using data to even change people's minds based on your wants and your needs, I think will come to a very mature state in time to come.
So first of all, thank you so much, Revan, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to start off by asking who you are and what you do.
Okay. Shanaka, I'm a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I practice in the areas of, say, company-related law, corporate law, intellectual property, data privacy. Those are a few areas that I dabble with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how long have you been practicing law?
I've been practicing, I think, 18, 19 years.
18, 19 years. All right. So you've been here for a long time now.
I've been around.
Cool. So as an expert on intellectual property and data privacy, what is data privacy?
Okay, interesting question. So let's get down to what privacy is, right? I think privacy is something we all want.
Mm-hmm.
And in today's day and age, there is a lot of data about us all around the world. From a technical standpoint, we call it a data vapor. Each of us have a data vapor. And if you look at the different aspects of you that have been collected on various systems around the world, you'll be surprised as to how much of an accurate picture all this data can create about you.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do we want to keep that private? Because I think there is a lot of private things that we've shared with various systems.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To give you an example, hospitals have medical history.
Yes.
Then schools have a educational history. Then the banks have a financial data. Right? Now, various social media apps that we are a part of have various correspondence also we have with people. Our WhatsApp has a lot of information. Now, how if someone has access to different pieces of data that we shared with different people? Right? Would they be able to manipulate that data to get to our detriment? Or also would that portray a picture about yourself that you don't want the world to know? Right? Either way, it boils down to privacy. And the fact that each of us have a right to privacy, right? Which is now being recognized the world over. So that is fundamentally what privacy and data privacy is all about.
Well, right.
It's if you're looking at it from a legal context, it means the laws that have been passed to protect privacy, to ensure that each of us have respectful lives.
Right. So what this is essentially doing is giving back the power of our data, or at least the ownership of our data. Right now, in certain countries, including ours, it's not there. With the data privacy, it's kind of getting that power back. And my question to you is, how important is data privacy? Can you explain it in a way that an average person understands this?
Sure. So I think data privacy will be, especially in this AI age, Shanaka, a very, very important component of our lives. Simply because AI is all pervasive, it goes into all aspects of our lives. And if you look at some of the scandals that have been cropping up, AI has also been used to manipulate people's personal data in a big way, right? So if we go to some of the cases historically, right? For example, the Cambridge Analytica accusation that was made against the 2016 US election, where it said that data had been manipulated to accurately distill a picture of who was a Republican or who was a Democrat.
Right.
And that was used for micro-targeting of advertisements. So privacy is something that's important, simply because people can manipulate that data. Also, you and I, business would not be able to function if we don't have rules and regulations governing privacy. Like, for example, your financial data. Like the security code on the back of your credit card, if it's used along with the other aspects of a debit card, people can take money off your account. So fundamentally, you have a right to keep certain things very personal. So like reverting back to AI, I think in time to come, with the rate AI is going about, AI feeds off data. And AI will feed off personal data, right? So how does one control that personal data from being manipulated at a rapid speed? So hopefully the law would be able to keep up. I believe we would need some sort of AI legislation as well in time to come. Otherwise, I mean, the cat is out of the bag. Pandora's box is wide open. But I think in time to come, privacy would be a very fundamentally important thing, Shanaka.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the PDPA Act in Sri Lanka, and you organized the Data Protection Symposium in January, which was very successful. We were able to be a part of this as well. And we saw a lot of interest in this subject, right? From your experience, how are Sri Lankan companies getting ready for this act?
Well, I think Sri Lankan companies are really ramping up their readiness in terms of the PDPA, as we saw by that symposium that was organized by the Bar Association, and I think the Bar Association did a great job in that. But speaking to many of the guests that came there and different speakers that came from different organizations, I definitely realized corporate Sri Lanka is ramping up and getting very ready for privacy. But of course, you know, some corporates are slower than the others. We'll have to wait and see as to how important people will, how much value they will place on privacy. But I think it's just one of those things that there was a speaker at the symposium that said, PDPA readiness is like having a fire extinguisher on the wall, right? When the fire starts, you definitely need it, and you need your readiness for it. But you know, in time to come, with more and more issues that may crop up, you would find people will align themselves more and more with regards to PDPA. But yes, as per readiness, I'm confident people are getting their acts together.
Yeah, so I think we're just seeing the start of this, right? Yeah. As an expert in this field, how would you advise a company who is just starting to look at data privacy and you know, protecting the personal data? What are some of the early advices that you would give an organization who's just getting into this?
So Shanaka, I think first and foremost, it'll be good to realize the value of privacy. All right, especially value towards your clients as well. I've seen some organizations using it as a branding tool to say, look, we protect your personal data.
Absolutely.
Right? And we are the custodians of your personal data. We take your data very seriously. So such organizations, I think, are really excelling because they're building trust with their corporates. But apart from that, I think in time to come, there will be a pushback from society. Saying, look guys, if you're using our personal data, you need to make sure that it's safe. That no one takes up my financial data, no one knows where I live, no one knows my phone number. People stop sending me various, shared various emails and various text messages, right? Because this is my private data. I haven't shared it with XYZ. So I think in time to come, corporates will realize the value of it. And I think corporates will also see it as important as other ESG components like sustainability, and it'll be a governance tool. It'll be a governance requirement in time to come. And I think given the speed the world is changing and how data centric the world is becoming, I think the push should be sooner than later.
Right, understood. And talking about the other side, talking about the people, right? We as a country don't. One of the things that that kept coming up during the data protection symposium was that we as a country lack the privacy mentality. Like, for example, our personal data is given away freely. For example, if you want to order a burger, sometimes you can't place your order without giving your personal phone number. So now with the PDPA Act, this is going to be a little bit more tighter. For an average citizen, what would you say in terms of what are some of the basic things that they can do to protect their data?
So you always have a right to say no, that you're not going to give data that is in excess of what is required for the contract at hand. Right. So if someone's doing a contract for you, like for example, a hospital is taking you in as a customer, then the hospital has a right to ask you certain data which is in relation to the tool, relation to the task at hand.
Right.
But anything in excess, you can always refuse. Similarly, if you're going to order a burger and that person insists on asking you for your phone number and your email, you can always say no. Look, give me the burger. Right? And if they say, look, we're not going to serve you the burger unless you give me your phone number, then of course you have the right to always walk away and say, look, I'll go somewhere else. But I think in time, it's important for people to really realize that privacy is important. I think privacy is very important. And of course, I think the Personal Data Protection Act, and this is a misconception a lot of people have. People think that it only surrounds text messages sent to your phone. No, it surrounds a lot of other personal data that you share with companies on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And it's important to protect that, simply because if you look at how data has been manipulated around the world, you would realize, look, there is 1 in 100 person who would use your personal data for some extraneous purpose that you would never even expect. Right? Like for example, micro-targeting of advertisements, like what was done in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. So I think in time to come, given AI and given the things there, data manipulation is going to be a big issue.
Right.
And using data to even change people's minds based on your wants and your needs, I think will come to a very mature state in time to come. So it will be important for us to control our data.
I think that you brought up a very important fact, that we always have the right to say no. I don't think a lot of people understand this, to be honest. Like when someone asks you, they just, obliged to give your phone number or your email ID or all of that, right? The other thing that you emphasized was the data manipulation, and I think you brought a fantastic example, the Cambridge Analytica. What are some of the other examples that you can give where you have seen data being manipulated in a global scale or in a corporate environment?
Well, at the moment, there is a big scandal about Grok, where Grok AI has not tweaked its safety mechanisms enough to prevent people from manipulating people's images in the way they want. Like, for example, there was an accusation made about Grok that it's used as a tool to even undress people, right? So, I mean, that is a person's image, which forms part of their personal data. So, these are some of the issues that you find on a global scale. But then, let's look at financial data. One of the biggest issues are leaking of financial data, right? Which can be used for so many purposes. I mean, that's a fundamental data that you need protected.
Right.
But let's look at some now around the world, right? Now, globally, especially in the EU, you have GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. So each country in the EU has a data protection office. And that DPO is very, very vigilant, especially with regards to the big tech companies. So I remember Facebook was fined, I believe, $1 billion. I'll get back to you on the exact number, for sharing data that they have collected in the EU with the US. So just the transmitting of data and the fact that it's not processed in the EU, the EU Data Protection Office, I believe it was Ireland, found that to be a breach of data, a breach of privacy, right? So the rest of the world is taking data privacy very seriously, right? Especially with regards to the big boys, the big companies, the big tech. Now, I'd like to see what happens in this Grok instance. That might be something that will that will come out. Now, for example, even TikTok was sued. TikTok was sued because the default setting on TikTok is not, for children especially, is public, and it doesn't start as private. So on that basis, TikTok was sued. The world is now going through a state of conformity, especially with GDPR. But you might pose me the question, how would Sri Lanka want to align with this growing trend around the world, especially when it comes to privacy? And I think it's important because the rest of the world considers their privacy important.
Absolutely.
Right? So if we have to do business with them, they would want some level of confidentiality, some level of high level of protection with regards to systems, right? When sharing data,
right? Especially
cross-border data or whatever, doing business with us. Like for example, if I'm transacting with you, right? You would send me a whole bunch of your data, like for not just your company details, but more important data pieces about you, like for example, how much you're willing to pay or whatever. You don't want me sharing that information with the rest of the world, right? You would want a level of trust. So I see the world also looking at privacy, personal data privacy, in the same way. If people from the EU are to come to Sri Lanka and stay in our hotels, they expect our hotels to maintain a standard of privacy with regards to their data. They don't want some other third party emailing them or some other third party getting in touch with them, or that data leaking out to various different parties. So I think it's a global trend, and it's a growing trend, and it's something that the world is playing a certain degree of importance to. So especially for transaction, right, from a financial transaction standpoint, if we are to transact through systems, right, and that's the direction the world is going to, we are going to be transacting through systems, through automated systems, then there is a huge need or requirement to ensure that the minimum standard of data protection is adhered to with any system across the board for people to transact to us.
Right.
And I think the rest of the world will require that standard.
Absolutely.
And it's only if we are able to maintain that standard and deliver that standard would they consider us a partner worth partnering with.
Right.
So I think that's a fundamental requirement that our corporates need to realize.
Right. I think that's what's happening already, right? With the PDPA Act coming into place, set the fundamental law in place now. And in terms of our region, we're the first in South Asia, I believe, to come up with a personal data act like this. Now, of course, just like any other regulation, this will also evolve. This will have to keep up with AI. What are some of the adjustments or some of the things that we will have to add to this PDPA in the future?
So I think the PDPA is it's a good piece of legislation that people have put together for Sri Lanka. It's of a fairly decent standard. I would say with regards to AI, of course, you would need new legislation coming soon, but I believe the government is working on it. I believe they're working on a framework for AI and for which I'm sure it will go hand in hand with the Data Protection Act. But there's an interesting provision in the Data Protection Act where if there is decisions made, automated decisions made about you, like say a bank or makes an automated decision based on the data you feed it, you have a right to review that automated decision by a person. Or you have a right to appeal to the bank to say, look, review that automated decision in terms of this act.
Right.
So, can that section be used for AI? I think it possibly can, because in time to come, a lot of decisions might be made with regards to all of us using AI systems.
Right.
So, can the PDPA used, or this relevant section be used to appeal or review, I would say the word review, an automated decision made on us. So it's, in that sense, a very far-thinking, appropriate piece of legislation.
Absolutely. And now you spoke a lot about AI, right? And of course, data is the raw material for any AI system. So this is just a fun question for you. How are you using AI? Of course, you can't, everyone is affected by this. As a lawyer, as a practitioner, how has AI helped you, or how are you using AI to?
Shanaka, I'm addicted to AI. I love it. I am hooked on ChatGPT.
Okay.
I use ChatGPT in so many ways. I get up in the morning and I brainstorm with ChatGPT the things I need to do for the day, right? And it itemizes a list for me that I probably forget to check it again. But at least in the morning, I have put together the important things I need to knock off for the day, which ChatGPT really helps. For example, note taking, I use whenever I go to a meeting. I finish the meeting by dictating to ChatGPT saying, organize these obligations that need to be done, and I share it with the group.
Right.
Then, for example, in getting prepared for a case even, I feed my documents to Google Notebook LM, which is a fantastic tool to review, your acts, to your cases, to your notes, to whatever. So I think AI. I'm getting into the subject of AI. I don't think AI is going to really. Well, it might make a few people lose jobs. But I think mostly what AI would do is it will give people that use AI a humongous edge, right? So I think it's very important to embrace it as much as you can.
Absolutely. And as a ChatGPT addict, what is the productivity percentage you have gained if you had to guess? Like
it's great.
From the Revan 10 years ago.
The more I'm realizing how the tool can be used, the more I'm realizing how much you can do with it. Like, for example, I've been involved in sort of putting together a museum or, a bunch of old artifacts. For research and development, it's been ridiculous. For say, enhancing photographs, removing scratches and stains on photographs. It's a fantastic tool. It really is.
So you spoke about using AI now, and the next step would be for companies, to enterprises to use AI. Any advice for companies who want to use AI, because of course they are using sensitive data, they have to govern this. How would you advise a company to get ready for AI adaptation?
Well, I frankly think not just companies but people. I think this era we live in, right, will soon be classified as the age of innovation, right? Because we have the tools now that you can pretty much direct how an end product will be like, right? Even a software, you can pretty much envision it, customize it, visualize the final product, and maybe even do the software with it without knowing a piece of code. So I think you're going to have an acceleration of innovation the world over, a massive acceleration of innovation, because the tools are available to now the common man. Earlier it was just the coders, but now I think you and I, if we try to figure things out, and it's pretty user friendly, we in time to come would be drafting our own code for various tools that we want to use. So I think enterprises need to get on that bandwagon as well. Especially as a growing country, we need to embrace the fact that this is the innovation age, right? And I do not see that enough coming from our corporates, and the want to innovate, the want to develop our products further. And I think now is the time that we need to get into that bandwagon where we look at what our products can evolve into. And how you can meet the needs of people more relevant in the marketplace by meeting the needs of people in a more real sense.
Right.
And I feel the countries that really get on board, the organizations that really get on board and embrace these new tools, right? Especially for innovation and product differentiation and product development, you're going to find massive growth in terms of your yield. But for that, like you rightfully said, you need to respect privacy and you need to respect personal data. Because at the moment, I believe those who get on this gold rush, and there is a gold rush for innovation, because I believe this is the time of director's cut. You have a right to have a free for all and work with different tools. We never had these tools before. But always be respectful of people's rights. And organizations that do that would also realize that they build sort of value with their customers.
That trust with that customer.
Trust with their customers.
Which is the most important thing.
Which is the most important thing. Which is absolutely the most important thing. So I would really encourage Sri Lanka to look at these new tools, look at creating new and novel intellectual property. Right? If you look at the US example, if you look at the West, right, those economies were developed on creation, on just fundamentally creating new and novel items, novel products. So we should do the same.
Absolutely.
But of course, we need to do the same by getting on that same mature level of respecting people's privacy.
Now, coming back to the PDPA, this is my final question to you, right? Now companies have to get ready for this, whether they like it or not. It's already a law, like you said. All the large companies, of course, they can hire consultants. They have the budgets to get ready for this, buy the tools, all of that. But for a medium-sized company or a small enterprise, what are some of the key things, what are some of the basic things that they can do to get ready and stay compliant with the PDPA?
Good question. So a lot of people say, PDPA can be very expensive. Well, I think, your technical aspects of PDPA compliance, like for example, getting your cybersecurity in order, getting your security aspects in order, your firewalls, whatever, can cost, right? But there's a legal component to PDPA, which potentially could not be as costly, right? So in terms of the Act, you're supposed to communicate to the public at large as to what data you use, how you're going to use that data, and certain requirements in terms of the Act, which needs to be complied with. So your legal compliance of the Act can be implemented by almost any organization, and I encourage them to do so, because the public at large would know what data they use and how they use it. Right? Essentially, the Act dictates that you have to set out the purpose for which you're going to use people's personal data, and then you have to stick to that purpose. Right? You can't be sharing that personal data with all your affiliate companies or XYZ. Right? That the customer doesn't know of.
Right.
So if you're going to use your personal data for a certain purpose, you need to divulge that to the customer, or in certain instances, get the customer's consent to using it in that manner or form. So all that is not expensive, and I would say it should be done and can be done.
Right.
So I think it's a misconception almost to say PDPA compliance is uberly expensive, when I don't think it really is.
Right.
But only time would say how many companies would jump on this and use it as an opportunity to build trust with their consumer base, both locally and internationally.
Right. So what you're saying is, it's a law, it's in place now, but it's also a culture that you have to adapt in the company, in your employees, when collecting data, when interacting with data. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Absolutely. And PDPA is mostly culture, right? It's a culture of respect. It's a culture of respect that is demanded the world over. Respect of your clients, respect of your clients' data, respect not to share your clients' data, right? And I think those companies will really go far, because you know what? It's all about, you're not going to want to do business with me if you don't trust me, right?
Yes.
I mean, Shanaka, you're not going to buy anything I sell if you don't trust me as a person. So similarly, corporate Sri Lanka needs to embrace that this thing of building trust, building reliable systems, and then they will definitely go far.
Right. So I would say the underlying theme of the PDPA would be to build a trust culture.
That's one of the components. That's definitely one of the components.
Trust between the customers, trust between the partners, trust between employees and organizations all over that we deal with.
And even your employees, the only fundamental thing, leaving aside your customers, your employees need to trust the organization. All right? Because the employees share a lot of personal data with the organization. And that's the beauty of this act. It's not just customer-centric. It's personal, people-centric. It's a people-centric piece of legislation. So it's not just your customers, it's your employees also. And it's your suppliers, it's all the individuals that work for you. Right? Sometimes companies have their medical histories also, right? You don't want that being given away. So in time to come, I'm telling you, this will be as important as all the other different components of ESG that we try to build in our corporates. And more than that, it's now law. So I think there's a compliance issue, also a legal issue that you need to comply with.
Right. Thank you so much, Revan. Thank you so much for attending this podcast and being a proponent of data privacy in Sri Lanka.
I hope I was helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.